Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me. In today's episode, we're continuing the coverage of the Delphi murders case. Whether you call it the Delphi murders case, Snapchat murder case, down the hill murder case, this is all the same case. This is episode 5 of the case that we've been following now for many years. So thank you for joining me. Let's go ahead and dive into it. On Monday, February 13th, 2017, 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German had the day off of school. And according to official case file, the friends decided to spend the day hiking and were dropped off by a family member at 1:45 p.m. by an abandoned bridge that led into the popular trail. However, the girls didn't return to the bridge to be picked up, and they were reported missing less than 4 hours later at 5:30 p.m. You know, the media coverage surrounding this whole case has been something of a contradiction. While this case has maintained national interest in the girl's case, there's been very little information to follow in the past 5 years. We have a couple of sketches from eyewitnesses, some blurry photos of the suspect, a short video recorded from Libby's phone, and we have a location. That is really about it. While these pieces of evidence have generated over 70,000 tips and continuing, they also call attention to the existence of more evidence. The public still hasn't seen all of the footage that Libby was able to capture, nor has their official cause of death been released. That is another big piece of evidence we don't know about. This level of privacy, this is pretty normal, even for such a high-profile case. The public never has the full story when it comes to active investigations. You hear me mention that all the time. They have to keep a lot of this from the public because it truly can mess up their case. And if it's one thing that the prosecution wants to do is go into a case fully prepared. So this is just part of the process. When law enforcement seals certain details, generally it's for a good reason. However, all the evidence that law enforcement has withheld from the public in this case has confused media outlets and true crimers like myself. And on October 28th, Carroll County law enforcement, they arrested Richard Matthew Allen, and all that confusion would come to a head. Now we know there must be more evidence. He has been moved at least twice from different locations, having been held at the Carroll County Jail before being transferred to the White County Jail. Now, he was subsequently taken to an undisclosed state facility for his own safety. And we'll share a little bit of that as well. The Indiana Department of Correction recently released a newer booking photo of Allen earlier this week as of this recording. In a handwritten letter, Allen begged for the mercy of the court. During his initial hearing on October 28th, he indicated plans to hire private counsel. Sounds like he may have changed his mind over time, according to this letter. And he wrote, and this is the fresher, clearer version, so you don't have to try to read his handwriting. So I'll keep it up there for a few minutes if you want to pause and read it yourself. This is the whole letter that he would write to the Carroll Circuit Court and those associated with it. But he wrote that he had no clue how expensive it would be just to talk to someone. He said the arrest and charges had directly affected his family's finances because he was no longer employed and his wife had to abandon their home for her personal safety. Because right out of the gate, this has been a national attention having case. Everyone associated with this, it, they have to protect. They have to do their best to protect. And we're going to dive deeper. His wife may or may not have had an inclination. We really don't know. But we know how the public can crucify you before having all the answers. Literally. It's just the way it seems to go in a lot of different areas. And so you can read this, but this is where a little more continues to come out as to what's going on with this case. And so he shares that, he thought he can afford it because at his initial hearing on October 28th, he asked for himself to find his own representation. But now he's changed his mind, as you can see here. Over 5 years after the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German, Circuit Judge Benjamin Diener found that there was probable cause to arrest and charge Mr. Allen with the crimes. Now, Allen, who has not been on the public's radar until now, has pleaded not guilty to both murder charges. Yet, instead of celebrating just yet, as a lot of us were very, very excited that there might be some justice for these two young girls taken way too soon. But we come to find out we're not going to find out much information at all. Because instead of celebrating, law enforcement has asked the public to be patient. They do not want to release the affidavit, the public documents, which is not the norm. They've urged those who follow the case not to jump the gun, reminding them that the case is far from closed. Now, strangely, the arresting officers have even reminded the public that Allen must be presumed innocent until they have definitively proven his guilt in a court of law, which is the norm. And they also encourage the public to keep the tips coming in, even if their information has nothing to do with Allen. And my guess is now that Allen has been arrested, my guess is more tips. Again, last count, couple weeks ago, 70,000, over 70,000 tips. Now that he has been arrested, you're going to find out more. You're going to find out more. We don't know everything that they have. And that's the main premise of this video today, along with his letter. So let's keep diving into it, right? And so if you know any tips, please share them. But prosecutors have even filed a motion to keep the probable cause affidavit, the document that contains law enforcement's reasoning for arresting Mr. Allen in the first place. They want to keep it sealed from public viewing. There's no doubt that Libby and Abby's case has been highly unusual, and it seems like things are just getting stranger throughout this whole thing. Jack Crawford, a former Indiana prosecutor, has spoken out insisting that he's never filed a motion to seal a probable cause affidavit. He says that's an important public document and advises the public what is going on in the case, considering this is one of the most notorious murders in Indiana history. The public has a right to know important facts about this most serious case. Now, Crawford, he practiced criminal law for 35 years. This is what he would tell Fort Wayne's 13 News. I mean, he's never done that. But this is who knows what kind of cases he's held, right? It seems like prosecutors are trying to get as much time as they can to bolster the case against Allen before releasing any more information to the public. As I mentioned, they want to have a hard stone case against him. Even Libby German's older sister, Kelsey, she has been tirelessly working this case to bring awareness so that it never dies out of the public's attention. And honestly, I think it worked. But she's been doing everything she can to keep the awareness on social media. And she even supports the prosecution's plea. And she says all parties are innocent until proven guilty. Please do not wish harm on anyone or convict anyone before there is a trial. She would tweet this on November 2nd. At this point, there has been an arrest, but the investigation is not over. I think that's a very important point. The investigation is not over. And as a true crimer, when I shared this arrest, I was like, I want to see this affidavit. But again, I'm still new to this true crime world, so please forgive me that I was quick to be like, I want to know how they are tying him to this. But now I have a better understanding as to why it may not be a good idea to release this information. And so this is where German has even promoted a petition to keep the probable cause affidavit sealed. Right now, the true crime community are being put to the test. As I even just shared about me, as soon as I saw that he was arrested, you guys heard me say, I want to know what brought this to him. But you got to ask your question now, what do you really want out of this case? If you're a true crimer YouTuber like myself, do you want justice or do you want views? I want justice. Justice, justice, justice. So if there is any way of letting this affidavit get out sooner than it needs to be, I don't want a part of it. I want justice for these two little girls who were taken from this world way too soon. So the question for true crime YouTubers is, do you want justice to prevail from these type of tragic cases, or do you just want views? Because it blows my mind what little story YouTubers will run with just to get those views and keep this on their channel. I am learning as a true crimer what gets more views, and I want to make sure that I look at you guys understanding that I understand. Yes, I notice when I am talking about a higher profile case, yes, my channel seems to get more views, more subs a little quicker. But I'm not going to be that true crimer that just wants to dissect every little article to talk about the case. This is where a lot of true crimers mess it up in investigations. Sometimes being that extra internet sleuths help though. So it's almost like a toss-up between what do you prefer, right? You always want justice. What people are doing in the Quentin Simon case down there, trying to say for justice for Quentin, the way they're acting, I say is justice for your channel to get some more views, because they are not showing signs of them trying to get justice. They're showing signs that I want to be in the media. I'll even get arrested to get in the media. You just won't find that on this channel. I want to highlight, I want to be a voice for these victims. Yes, of course, I want to grow my channel. Don't get me wrong. I am not trying to say I'm doing this for 0 views, because who would I be helping with 0 views, right? But to be a victim, to be a voice for the victim, there does take some stepping up, stepping out, showing up. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that. But there is a public hearing that is scheduled for November 22nd, where a judge will consider the prosecution's motion to keep those records sealed. And we'll have to wait almost 2 weeks to find out. And I'm antsy to find out, but I want them to do what's right for the case, because here's the truth. We will eventually find out. Okay? I'm not going to be able to help solve this. So me reading the affidavit and getting my hands on it sooner than everyone doesn't help. Who does that help? Right? When it comes out, I'll get my hands on it just like everyone else. And so a mother of one of the two girls slayed in the Delphi murders case, she said that, she is being forced to relive the nightmare all over again in her first interview after cops charged Richard Allen. Carrie Timmons, the mother of Libby German, said that she was taken by complete surprise when Richard Allen was charged with the murder of her daughter and friend, Abigail Williams. Allen, who was a CVS pharmacist at the time of his arrest, has left the Delphi area in complete shock. It would be one of their own that would be arrested in this case. Now, officers with Indiana State Police are insisting that this is still an active case, which leaves the door open for others to be charged. Now, Timmons, she described the moment she found out about the charges as surreal, but she isn't allowing herself to get her hopes up. She said, "It's been extremely emotional. Of course, I'm excited and happy there's been an arrest, but he hasn't been proven guilty. It's an alleged, so it's not a time to celebrate. It's all been rather triggering because it's bringing everything back. And in a sense, I'm reliving everything all over again. But it feels like we're now at the beginning of the last chapter. So I hope that's the case. But there's still a long road ahead of us." Authorities, they never publicly linked him to the case before, with the culprit behind the murders remained a mystery for 5 years. And, throughout this whole time, cops remained very tight-lipped about how the girls were killed. We still don't know that. Judge Benjamin Diener, he gave permission for some of the details to be released about the case, with a hearing that is set for November 22nd to determine if those documents will remain under seal or let it be known to the public. Now, the judge, he has since recused himself from the case, but we'll get into that in a moment. Currently, the only details that have been released are that Allen's initial bail was set at $20 million following his arrest. But before that came out, it was reported before that and after that he is being held without bail. So that created a little confusion as well. Now, Timmons, the mother, has discovered that police had made a charge after Libby's grandmother and legal guardian, Becky Patty, received a call from police and passed the information on. She said, "I want nothing more than to look this person in the eye. So as terrified as I am by the thought of it all, I'm trying to prepare myself for that moment. But I don't believe there's going to be any closure, not until I'm no longer here and I'm back with Libby again. Closure is not really what I'm looking for anyway." She continues, "I want peace, and I want peace for the girls. Those girls need justice so they can rest in peace, and I need that for them more than anything. It's all very surreal still. As long as I've waited for this moment, nothing could have prepared me for it. Maybe a little bit of weight has been lifted off of me, and maybe we're finally about to get some answers. They've made an arrest and they filed charges, but stranger things have happened. So I don't want to get my hopes up too high. I want to go to the court and I hope we can get a conviction, but there's still a lot of questions. We don't know what evidence law enforcement has. It feels like there are now more questions than we've ever had before. But obviously, he's innocent until proven guilty, though I hope they've got the right person and soon we'll know what happened and why it happened. Timmons also believes that Alan should suffer for the rest of his life after killing her daughter, before adding that death is too good for him. Now, Alan, as I mentioned earlier, he's been moved to state custody for his own safety, with a court order ruling that he was in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death, or represents a substantial threat to the safety of others. And that's what I mean when it is shared that they can't let out too much information. Without a conviction, people are ready to hurt this guy. They're already ready. They're ready. They want this guy to pay. People all over the internet are automatically, well, he's arrested, he must be guilty. And right now, I'm still waiting for evidence to know whether how do I know? How do I know? They're not sharing much. So how can you honestly say he's guilty of this? Give me some evidence. Give me something. Tell me there's DNA on the bodies. Then I'm a be convinced, right? And so police reports seen by Fox 59, they revealed that officers was sent to Allen's home on June 18, 2015 at around 3:30 a.m. to reports of a domestic incident. Now, Sheriff Toby Lesenby said Allen, a dad of one and a CVS technician, was allegedly drunk, and his wife took him to a hospital for a medical evaluation. Now, authorities confirmed that their role was to keep the peace during the incident, and no arrests or charges were filed. Indiana cops released Snapchat footage documented by the girls of a man following them closely on a bridge shortly before their deaths, who was dubbed the Bridge Guy. Now, it is unclear if Allen is the man in the footage or the voice which uttered the phrase "down the hill," recorded by Libby's cell phone shortly before the crime. Now, the bridge where the girls were last seen is located just a few miles from Allen's home, which is also just a half a mile from the middle school that both girls attended. And Libby, she was smart enough to grab a snap of him, but she had shared a snap on Snapchat of herself walking along the railroad tracks on the day of her murder, with the social media updates causing a sensation that made the case one of the United States' most notorious unsolved murders at that time. And the arrest of Allen could be the end of a years-long investigation during which numerous possible leads have led nowhere. And police have remained very tight-lipped about this whole thing, as I've mentioned already. But exactly how the girls died, yep, as I said, tight-lipped, no one knows. And the state of their bodies, it was discovered. Also, the remains, that the way it was discovered, the remains shrouded in mystery, literally. And so over the summer, the details of a search warrant revealed that Libby and Abby were found covered in blood, and that their killer appeared to have taken a souvenir of some sort from the murder site. And the warrant, it offered no further detail on what the souvenir was, but it did say that the rest of the girls' clothing was recovered, which would kind of imply that the killer had taken something that they were wearing. Now, the murderer also reportedly staged the girls' bodies in a particular way after killing them, although it remains unclear exactly how he did this. And investigators, they believe photographs or videos were likely shot of the grotesque setup to memorialize the crime scene. And over the years, numerous people have been put forth as possible suspects in the case. You had Ron Logan, who died in 2020. He had long been the prime suspect. The girls' bodies were discovered on his property just 1,400 feet from his house, and it was revealed over the summer that his alibi for the day of the murder did not line up. And his home, it was searched, and he was arrested shortly after, but he was never charged and he was released. The voice in the clip, it was described as being not inconsistent with that of Logan, the FBI investigation would conclude. But another man, as seen on the right here, Keegan Kline, 27 years old, of Peru, Indiana, was also previously named as a suspect in the murders. Now, Keegan, he is said to have admitted to talking to Libby German using a fake Instagram profile called Anthony underscore shots. Now, Kline, who is heavy set and pasty faced, used an image of a ripped and muscular young man to trick underage girls into speaking to him. And he is said to have arranged to meet with Libby on the Delphi High Bridge the day before she was murdered while walking along it. Now, obviously, that is damaging. And I want to share that we still don't know Keegan Kline, Ronald Logan, we still don't know if they've been exonerated from this particular case. Right now, it still looks like there might be some ties until we know about that affidavit. But he is also said to have shared his Anthony underscore shots password with others, including his father, and said his father could be a prime suspect in the killings. Now, Kline, he is currently being held in jail after being arrested on separate child PORN charges in August of 2020. But recently, a judge in Miami County, Indiana, has officially dropped 5 charges against Keegan Kline. Now, prosecutors, they asked that 5 counts of child pornography possession against Kline be dropped because there is not enough evidence to prove these counts beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. Now, Kline, he still faces 25 charges related to child pornography. His trial is set to begin in January of 2023. Now, on October 31st, Indiana State Police said that 50-year-old Richard Allen is the main person they think killed the girls. The investigation into him began more than 5 years before he was caught. He's just never been in the public's eyes. And again, he is being held without bond until March 24, 2023, when a jury trial is set to start. On the other hand, Kline is set to go in front of a jury on January 19th, 2023. And he is in jail with a bond of $265,000. Now, since the Indiana State Police announced Allen's arrest and revealed the murder charges filed against him during a news conference on that Monday, October 31st, the case has been marked by turmoil. Overwhelmed Carroll County Circuit Court Judge Benjamin Diener, as I mentioned earlier, he recused himself from the proceedings, citing concerns about his personal safety and the tidal wave of media and public inquiries about the Delphi case. More reasons why they're trying to keep this thing sealed. You had the judge who recused himself from the case because of the media attention, because of the public inquiries, because of personal safety. Wow. You see, this is a wild case. And again, no one's even been proven guilty by their peers in a court of law. That's what makes this Like, wow. And this announcement of him recusing himself, it came the same day that Diener approved state custody for Allen, citing threats to his own safety, writing that the public's bloodlust for information before it exists is extremely dangerous. Going back to why they're trying to have this sealed. Now, the Indiana Supreme Court assigned the case to Allen's superior judge. They assigned the case to Allen's superior judge, or should I say they assigned Allen's case to Superior Judge Fran Gohl after Diener's recusal. And so now that he's out of the case, now Fran Gohl will be taking over, and hopefully she can handle this storm that's only beginning right now. Now, Logan's arrest, Ron Logan, the one in the orange on this screen, the older guy, his arrest came years after a 2017 search warrant related to another man named Ronald Logan. You see, Logan owned the property where the teenagers' bodies were found. Now, he would die in 2020, never being charged. Some believe he was never charged because of the people who were working the case. They felt he's too old to commit a crime like that. That's just according to some. But some believe that Richard Allen may very well be the accomplice with Ron Logan. And so we really don't know all of this just yet. But a catfishing pedophilia account by Keegan Kline, whose online persona is believed to be the last communication with Indiana teens Libby German and Abby Williams before they were killed. Now, this may have protected the suspect, Richard Allen, and he could now be cooperating with police as his child PRN trial date approaches. So maybe he's ready to speak. Maybe that's why they dropped some of the charges. Again, we still don't know. I'm sorry if you don't like me kind of throwing my thoughts and opinions out there, but I want to play detective. I want to play detective with what information we do have, right? That's part of why I signed up to do this. I want to play detective. I want to see, I want to be a voice for the victims, and I want to weigh the possibilities. And so an investigation by the Daily Mail, which is a British tabloid, the Daily Mail suggests that Keegan, who again has already been arrested on charges unrelated to the Delphi killings in 2020, suggests that Kline knew all along that Allen was the killer. The Daily Mail, it shared that a transcript of a police interview with Kline in 2020 shows that he failed a polygraph examination when he said he did not know who killed the two girls. And according to that transcript, it revealed that Kline was being truthful when he said he stopped messaging with Libby in his catfish persona, Anthony Schatz, who is a teen actor and model, 2 weeks before the murders. But when investigators told Kline their theory that they believed he spoke with Libby during her overnight stay with Abby before they took their fatal hike, he initially denied it. But the messages continued on Libby's phone, although the messages with her were deleted on Kline's phone. Now, investigators, they appear to begin to wonder if someone stepped into Kline's place for the last 2 weeks. As I mentioned earlier, he has admitted that other people had access to this fake account. Now, one of the detectives tells Kline, according to the transcript, so during the time frame where this grooming would have been built up to a meeting, the history of his phone is gone. It's wiped from your phone. So now it all starts to stack. The complexity of your Anthony Shots persona, the cars, the influence of Lamborghinis, Ferraris. It's not you. It's not your idea. You and I both know it's not your idea. The complexity of it, okay, it's not just you. Klein, he held to his not knowing anything. He didn't do anything wrong, and he never shared knowing anything. Maybe he doesn't, maybe he does. And the Daily Mail did note that he was temporarily released from jail into the custody of Indiana State Police this past August 2022, the very day that officers began a 5-week search of the Wabash River. And so this case has connections to Ron Logan, Keegan Klein, and now Richard Allen. And then that with over 70,000 tips, where some most likely led to Richard Allen's arrest. Now, Richard Allen's wife, she has deleted so many videos off of her Facebook page, but not before the arrest of her husband. Now, that's another thing that we don't really know everything that the cops have probably found, because one of the things that we know is, and I shared this a little earlier, but when he was, they have, different moments where things were seen on her page. So for example, this image right here. This was a video that she took, and it was put on her page. And that jacket that he's wearing looks very similar to the walking on the bridge of whoever that is supposed to be. Looks very similar to him. And so that's why it's like there's so much to this. But you have to ask yourself, why keep this public, right? Why keep this public? Or why keep this from the public? Why are they keeping this affidavit so quiet? Well, it should be noted that Allen, he is also facing 2 counts of felony murder. This is also a charge that can be filed against a defendant who may not be the actual killer, but someone who participated in this ordeal. And so that's where you have to ask yourself, like, okay, if he didn't, okay, why did they say that he is the prime suspect at one time, or that he was the killer? So again, we gotta wait till more comes out of this. But again, you gotta wonder, like, okay, he is being charged with felony murder. And could it be that he was just part of it? He's an accomplice. What does that mean? And by sealing this record, you got to ask yourself about the public interest. You got to protect the public interest. See, this is used to justify actions that are beyond the purview of justice. So it's got to be secured in this case, but whoever could be talking to help the police to get justice, this protects them as well. And dissemination of public information contained in the record, this could create serious and imminent danger to that public interest, because it would spread like wildflowers, which again, you already have a judge that's recusing himself. Imagine if this thing was open. But it could also expose people that should be protected. So by sealing the record, any prejudicial effect created by dissemination of the information cannot be avoided by any reasonable method other than sealing the record. And so there is substantial probability that sealing the record will be effective in protecting the public interest against any perceived danger. We don't want anyone else to get bad from this, right? And so, it's hard to know, like, okay, we really want to know this affidavit, but we don't want to ruin anything. But having this thing sealed also protects any witness or informants that are likely close to Richard Allen or speaking against him. Not because Richard Allen's going to do anything to him, because he's behind bars, but who knows who this is protecting? You don't know if someone's like, oh my God, I heard you spoke, and well, please change your plea. Come on, he didn't do anything. You know better. You know him better. So you don't want to mess any of that up either, right? So, never know what someone's motive could be, whether to protect Richard or have him convicted, right? So you want to be careful how this is presented. And those are some very key things. And one person shared a comment, how could she not recognize the voice and walk? I I'm guessing you're referring to the wife, because I think your comment came in as I was talking about that. I agree 100%. She has to. She has to know, if she saw that video of him, is that your husband's walk? Did they show her the full video, Nas? What do you think, right? If she saw the whole video or just what's going around social media, someone has to be talking. They found a reason to arrest him. And I believe you're right there. I don't think they would have had the press conference and tone of it if they didn't think it was him. I agree. I feel like they had some really good evidence to do that. And so, and Nas also shared, it may be protecting people who knew but didn't report it immediately. Great point. Great point there. Because you know that there's going to be people that knew about this. There are going to be people who are going to say, I cannot believe I didn't come up and speak sooner. And let's be real. Anyone who knew that you knew something and they're friends with you, they're going to be upset at you that you didn't speak up. And so Nas also shares, she saw what she saw what we saw, and I think that's enough to know. Fair enough. Fair enough, because he did have an interesting walk. And as long as that video was never, done with to change the voice, someone should recognize that voice. Someone should recognize that. I hear that voice in my head, probably because I've played it so much. Guys, down the hill. Guys, down the hill. Gee, Manelli. So, my friends, I just want to be another voice for these victims. And these two little girls have been taken from this world way too soon by another selfish coward or cowards. More will come out. I don't know what November 22nd is going to bring. I don't know if the judge is going to share anything. This might, if this thing goes to trial, there's no way it's going to be in that county, because there's so many people that have so much emotions tied to this. Obviously I do a lot of true crime. When they arrested Richard Allen, I lived in Indiana for 18 years. So I saw so many people posting about it. So many are tied to this. And it's going to be hard for them to get a fair trial right in that city, because everyone is pointing fingers already, right? This is where, look at what did that say? Bloodlust for information or something like that. This is a wild one, my friends. And hey, at the end of the day, I just want to be a voice for the victims. If this is the type of content you like to follow, please hit that subscribe button, hit on that like, and click that notification bell. That way you get notified anytime I go live. And again, my channel is going to be more about true crime in general and not one particular case over and over and over. So whatever your flavor is, maybe I'm a match, maybe I'm not. My friends, at the end of the day, I'm here for the victims. I'm trying to give them another voice, because these two young girls, Abby and Libby, taken from this world way too soon. Rest in peace, Abby. Rest in peace, Libby. My friends, if you are a person of prayer, please pray that this family gets some justice. Please pray that these girls get some justice. I love what Libby's mom said. She wants justice for the girls. My friend, I agree with you 100%. Let's get justice for these girls. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me today. Have an amazing day, my friends. Peace. Be careful out there.